Let me ask you this. Would you, let's say everything is even. Contracts are the same. The amount you'd have to pay and say a sign and trade exactly the same. Would you rather have Peyton Watson or Walker Kessler?
As of right, with all the present information, I'd rather have Walker Kessler. I leave an opening to change my mind because I believe in changing your mind when you get new information. I want to see how Peyton Watson looks on the fully formed Nuggets team and how he handles the pressure cooker of the playoffs with being a more prominent piece. I think overall he's been their fourth best player behind, of course, Jokic, Murray, and Gordon. So can he maintain that as Cam Johnson and Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon are fully healthy, playing their full allotment of minutes, and he's probably in a bench role, but maybe not, but potentially in a bench role. How does he look? How does he handle that? How does he fare in the playoffs? That to me will shift that Watson versus Kessler. But based on the current information, I think the center spot is incredibly important with Luka. There are guys who fit with him, but I think it's a shorter list of guys who fit offensively and defensively. And I think Kessler's defensive ceiling is like top 5 defensive center in the league. Yeah. And that to me is a guy that is worth pursuing. So I just think that the fully formed version of Kessler to me is better than the fully formed version of Watson. Now, Watson is exactly the type of two-way guy the Lakers have needed. So you could clearly make that case for him. I think it's close. Like ideally you get both. I would take either of them, but I would lean Kessler, I think.
Yeah, I look at when we're talking about which player has the ability to be elite in anything in particular. You look at Walker Kessler last season, relative to bigs, according to Cleaning the Glass, he was in the 95th percentile when it comes to block percentage, while being in the 87th percentile in foul. A lot of times you see the guys who have a very high block percentage, they also have a high foul rate because they're picking up fouls, chasing after so many blocks. Kessler's ability to do both, and it doesn't bear out this season. His foul percentage was not great this year, but it was in a 5-game sample size, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. His ability to not only block a high percentage of shots, have a major impact. Not as good as Wemby around the rim, but there's not a lot of players that are on Walker Kessler's level in terms of
no one else. No one's as good as Wemby around the rim.
Nobody's getting to that stage, but he makes a huge impact in a negative way on opponents' field goal percentage at the rim. So he does some things at a very elite level that would be very intriguing. That said, Jovan, for having talked about the Lakers needing wings for so long, it's hard to say I prefer a big over a wing. I'd be happy with either player, obviously, but I think you make a good point about feeling more confident that Walker Kessler is locked in as a starter. We know what he is as that. Peyton Watson may not be a starter on his own team once they get healthy. So we have a smaller sample size of Peyton Watson being very, very good, and he's burned very bright, less confident in his overall play. Is this sustainable or not if he gets a bigger role? Kessler, we've seen in a bigger role, and we've seen him be successful.
I also think for me, it's just the defense of, I think Kessler's a better and more impactful defender than Watson, and you really need defense if you're going to be building a core around Luka and Austin. So I just think like if we're comparing, if it's like, I'll say this, if it's like Peyton Watson and DeAndre Ayton as one potential path, or like Walker Kessler and Rui, I would take the Walker Kessler Rui pathway.
All right, quick break. And this one's actually something I've been using personally. Cold days, big games, busy schedule, no time to cook. That's why I've been rocking with Factor. I've been ordering their Protein Plus meals, especially the grilled chicken with roasted veggies. Perfect for me because I'm trying to keep my energy high for shows without feeling heavy after eating. What I like about Factor, quality ingredients, lean proteins, real veggies, whole food fats, no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils, and it fits the schedule. They've got 100 rotating meals weekly: keto, calorie smart, Mediterranean, GLP-1 support, even a new Muscle Pro collection for strength and recovery. And the convenience is crazy. Always fresh, never frozen, ready in about 2 minutes. No prep, no stress. I use this, and you guys should too, especially if you're balancing work, school, gym, and Lakers games every night. Head to factormeals.com/LakersPod50off and use code LakersPod50off to get your 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a year. That's 50% off and a free breakfast item in every box for a year while your subscription is still active.
Like, I don't know. I just think that the rim protection is like, because that's been, I think, arguably the biggest thing that it's like kind of flown under the radar. The Lakers are a horrible rim protection team. Like, if you get to the rim against the Lakers, you're scoring or getting fouled pretty consistently or getting an offensive rebound. So that's, I mean, part of that is the point of attack and wing defense. So I'm not going to overlook that, but it is a layup line when you get to the rim against LA. And I think they really need a great rim protecting center.
The Lakers ranked 29th in the NBA in opponents' field goal percentage at the rim this season.
And look at the other teams down there are pretty much like lottery teams. I think there's a couple of good teams. Like Denver's pretty low too, but it's not good company.
Let's go here. Last one. Mike said the least likely scenario for LeBron is retiring. He's going to want a farewell tour, and that isn't criticism at all. He deserves that. I don't know. I mean, from what I've heard over the last couple of months has largely been that the idea that LeBron needs a retirement tour has been overstated, and that may not necessarily be a prerequisite for him retiring. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't want one either, but I think just falling back onto this notion that he will only retire if he gets a retirement tour, I don't know how accurate that actually is. And that was where I think most people were landing when we first started discussing this, 6 or 7 months ago.
Yeah, and I believe Dave McMenamin of ESPN had a recent report about, I think it was during the Grammy road trip, that it was actually going into the Cleveland game, that he's heard from sources close to LeBron that LeBron doesn't necessarily want a retirement tour just because of the potential pressure of, it's the last game in Utah, it's the last game in Minnesota, it's the last game wherever. And if he's physically unable to perform or play in that game, that it's going to be like really disappointing for the fans who have bought the tickets, showed up to the game, and like it's just a lot of pressure. Especially, I mean, we saw it with Kobe's retirement tour, right? Like, sure. It was every game, and I don't remember how many games Kobe ended up missing on the road. I don't think it was many, but like it still was like this added of is he going to be available, and just like what type of game is he going to have, and like there's all these factors that kind of go into the pressure of that. Now I thought LeBron would want that, and I think he deserves it if he does decide to do that, right, and announce it before the season. But it does seem like I would agree that I still think of the three options, retirement is third, but I think it's bigger than a lot. I think it's a bigger slice of the pie than people think. I don't think it's like, I think it's higher than 5%. I think it might even be higher than 10%. Maybe it's somewhere in that like 15 to 20%. So that's like higher than I think we thought going into the season.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything on the court that's saying he has to retire. You're not looking at this and going, oh man, he's on his last legs. There's moments defensively where you go, okay, LeBron missed his rotate, didn't go close out there or whatever. He has moments in games where he can still turn it up, but he's still an incredibly impactful player out there on the court. So there's nothing saying he's done, he's washed, he has to hang him up or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know that he actually needs the full retire. There is, as you mentioned, there is a downside to having the retirement tour, and that is the pressure that's on you to participate in all of those games, even if that may not be the right thing for you. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out this summer. I do think that between retirement and signing with another team, there's now a greater percentage chance that LeBron is not a Laker through some method next season rather than he is a Laker. And I probably wouldn't have been in that spot to start the year. But that said, I don't think retirement is a necessity for him right now. And as long as mentally he wants to keep playing, I think he can still continue to play. If he does decide to retire, it would not shock me at this point if he just said, yep, I'm done, that's it, and decided to forego the retirement. It also wouldn't surprise me if he plays another year and says, this is going to be it. Let's do the whole send off and the whole thing.